Hello guys, it is me, Mr. Supernova777, and welcome to the Binding of Isaac tips and tricks. I'll meet you there. The first tip that I want to offer is be wise with your money. If you have less than 15 cents, do not go into the shop, and also admire the instructions that can really save your life. Tip 2. When you're fighting enemies, do not get trapped in a corner. Use range-based attacks and try to stay as far away as possible, unless they're really weak. But don't judge them by their size. In big groups of enemies, try not to get cornered. It can really cost you your life. As you see here, they try to take different pathways to cut you off. Just stay moving at all times and watch the paths that they're going to take. If you do this wisely, you'll probably survive the room with less than, well, it's at least one scratch, maybe less, or maybe none. It doesn't matter. It just matters if you don't die or get down to a half a heart left. Always be wise with keys. If you don't know what you're gonna get in the item room, still open it to see what's in there. If you don't have that many keys, be sure you really want to know what's in there. That is really important. On these types of enemies that emit flies, you want to stay kind of a medium range. Don't ever go really close to them unless you know they're not going to spit a fly. Some of them don't split flies, some of them do. And beware of different colored enemies. There are the regular colored enemies are the regular version. The different colored enemies of that version means they're stronger, and they're probably going to drop a good item, like a coin, a key, maybe a bomb. All that matters is you kill them and take their item. If you do not take the item, be sure to go back. Don't forget about the item. Remember always to use your mini-map. If you don't use your mini-map, you can be blowing off the item. And also, be wise with tarot cards. Some tarot cards can't be good with their effects. And another thing you should not always do is gamble. If you only have 1 or 5 cents, you should gamble them away unless you're trying to keep them up. If you have more than at least 20 or 30, you should still gamble. Just don't gamble it all away because that would be dumb. And a good tip for these enemies is never to get in the range of sight unless needed to. If you stay out of their sight, they shouldn't bother you. Unless you get really close like this, then they'll bother the crap out of you. The bigger versions may take a little while to kill, but they drop items, so it's all worth it in the end. Another thing you should do is if you have bombs to spare, blow up these blue tinted rocks. They usually drop items that can help you in your quest to kill Mom. I'll see you next. Another thing to do is be aware of bosses. Bosses are always on their guard. Make sure you have a strategy for each boss. Every boss has a different pattern. If you master their patterns, you should be okay. With some bosses, you should try to watch out. The hardest thing about watching out for these types of shots is they're in the air, and you cannot tell where they're landing unless you're really good at telling where the shadows are. And if you get hit once, don't cry, but if you get hit about 50 times, it sucks for you. I feel really bad for you. But be careful with these types of enemies unless you're really good at the game. Then forget everything I said. Another thing to do if you're a really big town, check your stats constantly. See what stats you should get the most. Just never ever always check your stats. Like every time you get a new item, just don't check your stats like a stat hound would. Unless you are a stat hound, I don't know. If you are, check your stats like a stat hound. If you don't. And also, sorry for the bad pronouncements in this video. I will see you. Be careful when dealing with large mobs like this big pack of mobs. Be careful when approaching. Think of how you're going to approach it. And always try to keep a fair distance from the pack. If they're multiple stage enemies, try to lure one at a time. That's really helpful. Go for the fastest ones first. Another Bobby, a nice success. Remember to think before you act. If you don't think before you act, you can really end up in a doozy. If you don't think to plan out when they're gonna shoot or plan strategies for each enemy or the hardest enemies you feel, then you're probably gonna die by them constantly. Remember to plan strategies. One strategy for this enemy is to see when it's about to go down. When it's about to go down and look like it's a cluster of nothing, it's about to fire. And for another thing is that you can shoot diagonal if you move a little bit. So just keep that in mind. Another thing you should always keep aware is your heart level and your map. If you still have dark rooms on your map, that means you have not explored them. If you have lightish, bluish, whitish colored rooms, that means you explored them. Remember, items can recharge or you can find special items in dark rooms. You don't know what's in there, so you should check it out. Remember to plan strategies for bosses. There are easy bosses and there are hard bosses. The harder bosses, you're gonna have to really strategize. These type of bosses, you don't have to unless you really hate the type of mob they're expending. Like the flies. Flies are one of my weaknesses because they're annoying as hell. Anyways, so yes, what you would want to do on this boss is you would want to kind of take care of him and the flies at the same time. Kind of like the big flies, take them out really quickly when he emits them. If they're coming at you, take them out. And then just when you have like some spare time against him, just kill him. And remember, he drops a bunch of flies like those other things. So be careful. It can get really hard. Remember to memorize the enemy type that you have. There are certain enemies that look alike, but they have different effects. Or can do different moves. Like these enemies, they are like those ones that shoot, but these ones, instead of shooting, they'll follow you around and hurt and do damage to you if they touch you. And when you kill them, they explode. In a squarish pattern, or whatever you want to call that, I don't care. But just watch out for that. Here's one of those rooms that you just gotta have to take a few hits to the face. Because there's not that many places to dodge at unless you're a super pro. Which I am sadly not a super pro. And remember to be consumable with your stuff, consumable. Like, don't use all your bombs to look for the secret room unless you have a really lot. And remember, this looks like that. This one doesn't look like, but has the same effect as those red meat piles, except instead of shooting in a square, it shoots diagonally. So remember, try to stay in their face. Do not try to get like diagonally from them. It will really help you in close counter fights like that. Remember, keep looking for that secret room. If that doesn't work, go over here and look for it. And if you don't find it there, then you're screwed, my friend. Because you just ran out of all your bombs. Another tip is watch out for these things, because they do this. That can really screw you over if you're not paying attention. So what I suggest is when they do come at you, try to take a U-turn and go for them. And remember this, I'm not a pro at this game, so my tips are for noobish kind of people. And here is the spacebar weapon. That's really weird and disturbing and scary, and I'll show you the effects of it in a minute. And I'll be right back while I go find some enemies to show you. By observing my map, I found there's a dark room, so there must be enemies in here, or it's just a room with nothing. And now I use Mom's pad. They are stuck. No, wait, they're not stuck. They're scared of me. And they're running away like, no. Back up to the corner. Remember, never to make stupid mistakes like this. Like the mistake of getting shot because you're just standing around shooting at a rock. An idiot would. Death is easy in the world of the Binding of the Isaac, so try to measure your lifespan and don't just get shot like Well, like the troll bomb just did. The troll bomb just mentioned to us what it's like to be shot. So, remember to use TNT to your advantage. TNT can be really useful, and it can be really sucky sometimes. Sometimes you can use it to your advantage, sometimes you can't, because sometimes you just don't know. And when you have a half a heart, you should run. If I had a bomb right now, I usually don't do this, but you can bomb those doors to find a quick way out. And there's a stupid death because you made so many stupid mistakes. So, if you like this video, give it a like. If you want more of these videos, subscribe. And there is I'm just gonna call her Maggie. There's Maggie. Her stats are 4 hearts, 1 speed, 2 attack, and she starts with a yum heart. Chain has 2 hearts, 3 or 4 damage, the same amount of speed, and starts with a lucky foot, which increases your quality of your drops. And the yum heart, well, you should know what that does. He starts with nothing. And there's Eve. You can deal with that devil. Collectibles that are really useful to you can be HP ups, the heart, the skeleton key, the pigment, Magneto, 9-volt, Arnica cookbook, Steam sale, Dead Sea Scrolls, Bucket of lard, Odd mushroom, Magic mushroom, the Sad onion, Shoot the whoop, Mom's pad, My Little Unicorn, and pills. And maybe just throw in a little bit of X-ray vision. And this has been Tips and Tricks with Isaac. The first one, it's not going to be as helpful as you think, but who cares? If you liked the video, give it a like. If you want more of these videos, subscribe. If you want more of this playlist, like and subscribe. And if you really want more of this playlist, comment and tell me how you feel about The Binding of Isaac. The comment of the day will be, what is your favorite spacebar item in this game? So don't forget to comment and like the video, and